Pranayama, because like I said, we are talking about the energy that is driving your life. Yogasanas will also be a precaution for you, and it will also be a treatment for you, okay? But what is going behind in your mind while you're doing this activity, that is the subconscious part of your mind. You visit your subconscious, then you organize the rack of problems in your mind. All the problems are coming from here. If this is sorted, half of the problems of your body is sorted. Cleansing of your abdominal muscles. Hello all, my name is Rohit. I take physical education on behalf of Prep School by Vidhyaashram. In today's class, we will cover the second session of yoga. So what all things we will be covering in this particular session, let's have a quick look at it. First, we'll study about the meaning of pranayama. Then we will look into various stages of pranayama. After that, we'll study about types of pranayama, meaning of meditation, and finally we'll conclude this session by understanding the meaning of SHATKARMAS or Shuddhi Kriyas. Now, having said that, let's move on with our first topic or the first topic for the session, that is meaning of pranayama. What do you mean by pranayama? The word pranayama comprises of two words. You have prana plus ayama, okay? There are two words, two Sanskrit words are involved here, that is prana and ayama. Prana means what? In general also when you talk about prana, it is life, right? Pran is what? In Hindi when you generally speak, pran means life, right? So prana plus ayama. Now when you talk about the vital energy, okay, the vital energy that is required for your life, the maintenance of that, the driving force of that is called as again pranayama. So what are we talking about? What are we referring to when you talk about the major driving force, or here as they said the vital energy or the life force? What are we referring to? We are talking about breathing, okay? So pranayama is basically about breathing. Now if you stop breathing, you will die. Okay, so breathing is what keeps us alive, right? So respiration, and if you suffocate, you die. Okay, so it is important for us to take care of proper breathing. So the process of breathing in yogic terms or yogic practices is called as pranayama. Okay, once again, what is pranayama? Pranayama is formed by two different words, that you have prana and ayama. Okay, it is a vital energy or a life force that is called as pranayama. Pranayama is formed by two different words of Sanskrit. What are those two different words? What are these two different words? You have prana, and what is the second word? Second word is ayama. Okay, so two different words are there. We have prana and then we have ayama, that is called as pranayama. So I hope you understood the meaning of pranayama, that is again breathing. In simpler terms, if you avoid all the formal statements and every definitions that we know about pranayama, in simpler terms, in a layman's language, pranayama is basically the breathing procedure. And in formal statement, pranayama is what? It's the driving force, it's the driving force of life, that is called as pranayama, that is the breathing. Hope you understood the meaning of pranayama. Let's jump into a next topic related to this pranayama, that is the different stages of pranayama. Now when you talk about breathing, when you generally talk about breathing, two stages are involved. We generally speak, right? What are those two stages? You have inhalation and then you have exhalation. Okay, you have inhalation and then you have exhalation. When you generally talk about breathing, there are two stages involved. First you have inhalation, second you have exhalation, right? In yogic practices, there are total three stages involved. Now before I get into the third one, which you are missing out when people don't much count about it, we'll still get into that and try to understand what exactly it is. But first let's get into what we already know, that is inhalation and exhalation. The process of inhalation in Sanskrit is called as puraka, or it is one of the stages of pranayama. So the first stage of pranayama, that is the first stage of breathing, is what? Puraka. Puraka means what? It means simply inhalation. Okay, puraka simply means inhalation. So when you inhale a breath, that process, that stage of breathing is called as puraka. Then when you exhale the breath, when you leave carbon dioxide after one cycle of breathing, that exhalation process in pranayama in Sanskrit is called as rechaka. Okay, what is it? Rechaka. So first you have puraka, then you have rechaka. Now comes the third stage, which I was telling about. Now basically this is not a third stage, this is a hidden stage in between first and second, that is kumbhaka, that is retention of breath. Now generally when we see or when we focus on our breathing, we generally say, okay, I inhaled the breath and I exhaled carbon dioxide. I inhaled oxygen and then I exhaled carbon dioxide. Now there is one small step that is missing out. That is the retention of breath. You are holding your breath for quite a milliseconds. It's not even seconds, that's why people don't notice it much. But you are holding your breath, you are retaining your breath for a few seconds. That stage is called as retention. And how do you do that? Where is it happening? I am not able to feel that, right? I'll give you a brief idea. When you inhale, you hold a second and then you leave. if you have noticed your breathing, you don't rapidly breathe and leave the oxygen, right? Even only if you run, that time it comes rapidly, but there also Kumbhaka process is there, the retention of breath is there. So when you're taking in oxygen, you're holding for few milliseconds for the process to take place and then you're leaving it. So that retention of breath that you're doing is called as Kumbhaka. So that's the second stage. So first you inhale the breath, when you inhale you hold it there, that holding is called as Kumbhaka. And then you leave then after that you leave carbon dioxide, that process is called as Kumbhaka. Okay, so you have total 3 stages. You have Puraka, Rechaka and Kumbhaka. Now there is one more hidden thing, that is Kumbhaka's subdivision. Now Kumbhaka is divided into 2 different parts. You have internal Kumbhaka and external Kumbhaka. The retention that you do when you inhale a breath and the retention that you do when you exhale a breath. Okay, what is the 2 different categories of Kumbhaka? You have 2 different categories, that is again internal Kumbhaka and external Kumbhaka. Internal Kumbhaka is that retention of breath which you do when you inhale oxygen. Okay, external Kumbhaka is that stage of Kumbhaka which you do when you exhale carbon dioxide. So when you inhale also you are holding on for few seconds before you leave carbon dioxide. When you exhale also you are holding on for a second before you take in oxygen again. Okay, so that process is called as Kumbhaka. So you have 2 stages, you have internal Kumbhaka and you have external Kumbhaka. Okay, so what all are the stages of Pranayama? Again, you have 3 stages. You have Puraka, you have Rechaka and you have Kumbhaka. But if you rearrange it after you studied this internal and external Kumbhaka, first one is internal Kumbhaka. When you take in the oxygen, that is Puraka. When you hold that is internal Kumbhaka. And when you leave carbon dioxide, that is Rechaka. And before you take in again oxygen, you hold in again, right, for a millisecond or 2. That is called as external Kumbhaka. Okay, so these are the stages of different kind of pranayamas. Okay, so these are the stages of pranayama. So I hope you understood the different stages of pranayama and how breathing procedure is staged when you talk about the yogic practices. Now, having said that, let's move on to our next topic, that is the types of pranayama. When you talk about pranayama, we have total 8 types. That is Suryabhedi pranayama, you have Shitkari pranayama, then you have Bhastrika pranayama, then you have Plavini pranayama, Ujjayi pranayama, Shitli pranayama, Brahmahari, and finally you have Morcha pranayama. Now, you may again get a little confused, so let me clear there. Now, when you talk about types of pranayama, this is not stages. Stages is the different stage of breathing. Types is the different way of breathing. Now, you may get confused. You may say that there is only one way we breathe, right? We just take in oxygen and when we leave carbon dioxide. Everybody does the same thing. There is no types in that. But when you practice pranayama is basically what? Not just the breathing procedure, but different activities, different pranayamas will again cleanse the breathing procedure. So all these different pranayamas are different types of breathing, different patterns of breathing. What is a regular pattern of breathing? You take in oxygen, you leave carbon dioxide. That's a regular pattern of breathing. But in pranayamic procedures, in the procedure to cleanse your pranayama, to fix any problems that are there with your pranayama, because like I said, we are talking about the energy that is driving your life. Yama is studied about the elements of yoga. Yama is a kriya. So pranayama, yama is a kriya which retains your prana, that is your life. So kriya that drives your life or retains your life is called as pranayama. So it's very important for you to control that breathing well, to make sure that breathing is proper. Okay, and many times in many environments people may get lack of oxygen. That will create all those problems of palpitations and major other heart related issues. To avoid all those things, your breathing has to be proper first. You should be able to take in enough oxygen in one cycle of breathing, and all those things can be fixed, or it can be cleared, or it can be fixed, or it can be cured when you practice different kind of pranayamas. So what are patterns are we talking about? I'll give you an example. You might have seen in yogic ashrams and yogic camps, people do pranayama like this, right? They hold the right side of their nose, they inhale through left side, and then they leave the carbon dioxide through the right side, and then they do this cycle 10 times, and then they do the opposite of this cycle, that is again 10 times. Okay, so different patterns are there. Just like that, different patterns are there where you inhale and exhale also from the left, and then you inhale and exhale from the right in the second cycle. So cross cycles are there, one-sided cycles are there, the other sided left-sided cycles are there. So all those different kind of cycles are these cycles that we're talking about. So those are the different patterns that we're talking about. Now how to do each one of these, we will see that in the practical part of the subject. But given the theory, having the theory on board right now, I want you to remember all these very carefully. Okay, I want you to memorize these words, because like I said, in the exam you will get the Sanskrit word, laid in the alphabet of English, but still it will be the Sanskrit word. You may not be able to understand the meaning of that if you don't learn it or memorize it. Okay, so memorize it. So remember these names. When they ask you what are the types of pranayama, these are the pranayama that is listed. Now how to perform this? That is again the practical part. We will see in the practical part of the subjects. For now, you have to keep these different kind of pranayamas in mind. In general, when you talk about pranayamas, different kind of patterns, I already give you a brief practical of that by showing you how the pattern goes on, right? You breathe in from the left side, you exhale from the right side. You breathe in from the left side, again you exhale from the right side. So all those patterns, just like that, there are total 8 patterns which we will see later. So all those 8 patterns are called as different types of pranayama. And it improves what? It improves the driving force of your life, which is breathing. Okay, it improves your breathing procedure, it improves your breathing cycle, it improves the oxygen level on your body, and it fixes a lot of problems related to your cardiorespiratory activity. Once again, it fixes a lot of your cardiorespiratory activities. We are talking about various aerobic capacities in your body. So when you do an intensive activity, do you get tired very fast? Are you able to carry out that activity? Is your stamina up to the mark? All those things has to do with your breathing style and breathing procedure. Okay, so all those problems that you may not have, or you may have, if you don't have, then it will work as a precaution. If you have, then it will work as a treatment. Just like I said, asanas or yoga asanas or any kind of kriyas in yoga will also serve as a treatment and also will serve as a cure or your precaution. Okay, it will also be a precaution for you. Yoga asanas will also be a precaution for you, and it will also be a treatment for you. Okay, now having said that, hoping you understood the different types of pranayama, different names of pranayama. I want you to memorize this once again from the exam point of view, and hoping you understood this, I'll move on to our next topic in the session, that is the meaning of meditation. What do you mean by meditation? Meditation in Sanskrit simply means dhyana. Okay, in Hindi we say it as like that, right? Dhyan se karo kaam, dhyan se karo, and dhyan rakhna, and all those different words we use. Dhyan is what? To focus, to concentrate, to pay attention. That is called as dhyan. Okay, do everything carefully. Dhyan se karna sab kuch. That is dhyana we have. Okay, so dhyana in simpler terms, when you call it as, we are focusing on something. Now the practice of meditation in the general form of talking, or in a general layman's format, when you talk about the concept of meditation, people think that it's just sitting in sukhasana with having a mudra and then thinking about something or thinking about your dreams and things like that. But it's not as easy as it's being stated. It's more complex than that. Now how is it? When you talk about meditation, there are two things involved when we talk about the thinking of your mind. You have conscious mind, you have subconscious mind. Whatever activity that you do, you are learning now, I am teaching now, all those things will be a conscious part of mind. Now while I am teaching, what is going in my mind? While I am teaching you this concept, what is going in my mind deep behind, that is called as, again, the subconscious part of your mind. Now whatever is going on, whatever you're doing while I'm teaching you, when you're writing whatever the points I'm giving you, you're watching this video, you're watching this class, you're attending this class, that is the conscious part of that. But what is going behind in your mind while you're doing this activity, that is the subconscious part of your mind. Now, you won't be able to focus on your conscious activity. You won't be able to focus on whatever activity you're doing at this point of time if your subconscious is not clear. If your subconscious is going down many kind of psychological up downs, or if it is thinking about something else, then the focus on your conscious activity will not be good. So whatever activity you are doing now, if you want to do that perfectly and if you want to focus on that properly, your mind should be clear, your subconscious mind should be clear. Okay, so meditation helps you to do that. And why does this process happen? Why does this complication happen? Because you never get time to fix those problems that is there in your subconscious. It might be a simple thought, but you need enough time to process that in your mind. But before you process that, before you find a solution or problem, or you get settled, before you get sorted, you get into other conscious activity. But your subconscious is still pending. The thoughts in your subconscious still remain there, and that ports you in between your conscious activity. And in that way, neither your subconscious problems are solved and neither your conscious activity that you're doing now is being done properly. So meditation does what? Meditation is basically sitting in a proper comfortable posture and closing your eyes and focusing on a particular thing or any particular kind of problem or any kind of, it could be any thought. And now generally when we see this in movies or when we see this in documentaries, they make it as a, they make it sound like a lot philosophical and dramatic, but the thoughts that you could think during meditation is simple as just covering a chapter or as simple as just going for a shopping, or simple as just planning for a movie or anything. Okay, it is as simple as that. Meditation is just concentrating, sitting at a place and closing your eyes and concentrating on a particular object or particular topic, and then thinking about a problem or anything to resolve that, or to planning. Okay, generally when you plan something, you take a notebook and plan that, but same thing if you do mentally with a focus, with full attention, then that will be called as meditation, where you're sorting out, when you're clearing out your mind. So your mind is full cluttered, your subconscious is full cluttered, and everything is shabby, everything is upside down, and nothing is sorted. So the proper management, when you close your eyes, you go to your mind. When you close your eyes, and you visit your subconscious. Then you organize the rack of problems in your mind. Then you organize, and whatever problems, whatever situations are there, whatever is not needed, you pick it and put it in the dustbin in your mind. That is called as again meditation. So once you're sorted, once everything in the room of subconscious is clean and great and tidy, automatically when you come out of that room and enter the room of consciousness, and when you do the activity, you don't have to worry about subconscious, you don't have to worry about subconscious or what are things is going on, because you already sort everything out. Okay, so that way what happens is that your life goes better, your life goes smoothly, your physiological and your psychological balance and everything comes in sync. Now it is important to have a psychological fitness to stay physically fit. Like I said, everything is connected together, everything is part of one system, that is one human body system. So if you are tensed, if you are tensed about something, if you are upset about something, it affects your body, it affects your physiology, it affects your anatomy. For example, when you get tensed, when you're afraid, automatically your heartbeat increases, right? Automatically your heartbeat increases. That means your mind is able to control your anatomy and physiology at the same point of time. So automatically all the problems are coming from here, right? All the problems are coming from here. If this is sorted, half of the problems of your body is sorted. So that's one thing, that's one simplest concept that I wanted to give you. Okay, now having said that, hoping you understood the meaning of meditation and the practice of meditation, let's move on to our next topic, that is the meaning of SHATKARMAS or Shuddhi Kriyas. What do you mean by SHATKARMAS or Shuddhi Kriyas? Now there is two words for this. You have SHATKARMAS or Shuddhi Kriyas. Meaning of both is same. And what is it? 6 actions. 6 actions is called as Kriyas. Now when you study about karmas, in general term, when you talk about karmas, karma is what? It's your deed. Shat in Sanskrit is 6. Okay, Shat means 6. Karmas means kriyas, different kind of activities you do, different kind of actions you do. That's called as SHATKARMAS. So SHATKARMA is 6 karmas or 6 activities. The other name for it is that Shuddhi Kriyas. Now this name is given based on what does it do. This name is given based on what kind of activity, what kind of element of yoga it is. Shuddhi Kriyas means those kriyas which cleanses your body. Shuddhi is what? Shuddhi is purity, right? Cleanness. Shuddhi is cleanness and purity. So to keep everything hygienic, to keep everything smooth and clean, the processes that you do to do that is called as again Shuddhi Kriyas. Now what all Shuddhi Kriyas are we talking about? What all are these 6 actions that we are talking about? We are talking about the Neti, Dhoti, Basti, Noli, Kratak and Kapalbhati. So these are the 6 actions, 6 kriyas that you do to cleanse different parts or different functions of your body. Now what all parts are we talking about? When you talk about the first components, that is Neti, we are talking about the cleansing of your nasal passage. So the cleansing of your nose is called as Neti. And then you have Dhoti. Dhoti is again the upper intestinal part. Okay, so the physiological part of your upper intestine, the cleansing of that is called as Dhoti. Now, why did I mention physiology here? Because like I said, like you know, when you study about human body study is divided into 2 different parts. You have anatomy and you have physiology. When you talk about anatomy is the structural part of your body, and when you talk about physiology is the functional part of your body. So whatever is related to the structure of your body or structure of your organ or organ system, that is called as anatomy. So whatever is related to the functioning of those parts, what function does it do, what all macro and micro functions that is going on in the anatomical system, that is called as physiology. Okay, so why did I mention physiology over here when you talked about Dhoti? Because there will be other elements that will include the anatomy, so it's important for you to clear it, otherwise it will get confusing. Okay, so Dhoti is what? Dhoti is the cleansing of your upper intestine. So cleansing of your upper intestine is called as Dhoti. Then third kriya is Basti. Basti is cleansing of your lower intestine, that will include your bladder and rectum and all those kind of things. Okay, so all those parts which belong to your lower intestine, the cleansing of that is again called as Basti. And after that you have Noli. Noli is what? Noli is cleansing of your abdominal muscles. Now you got why I talked about the physiology, because when you talk about the muscles are the part of anatomy. Okay, now I'm not talking about the functions of the muscles, but I'm talking about the structure of the muscles. So the cleansing of the structural part of your intestine will come under your noli. Okay, so noli is that, and after that you have tratak. Tratak is the cleansing of your eyes. The cleansing of your eyes is called as tratak. So it will improve your eyesight, it will improve various other components or various other factors about your eyesight and the things related to your eyes. That is the process of tratak. Tratak is the cleansing process of your eyes. And later you have Kapalbhati. Kapalbhati is the cleansing of your brain, cleansing of your mind, particularly the frontal part of your brain. The cleansing of that is called as again Kapalbhati. So these were 6 different kriyas, 6 different activities or 6 different actions that you could do to again cleanse all these different parts that we studied about. What are the different names given for that? You have SHATKARMAS, that is 6 karmas. Then you have Shuddhi Kriyas, kriyas that cleanses your body. That's why it is called as Shuddhi Kriyas. So even in the exam, from the exam point of view, if you get SHATKARMAS or if you get Shuddhi Kriyas, the answer for that is the same. You have 6 elements in that. You have total 6 different elements is that. Okay, so 6 different elements concludes together as SHATKARMAS or Shuddhi Kriyas. Now I hope you understood the different concepts that we studied in this session. So once again I'll remind you, if you haven't watched the first session, I recommend you go back and watch that session and then come back and then watch this session. In that way you will understand the cross connections or cross reference of certain topics that I did in this session. And also while you study or while you cover the further session that is about to come in the next class, it's recommended that you follow the sequence in order to understand the concept much better. Okay, so having said that, I'll take an off from here, I'll take a leave from here, I'll wrap up this session over here. I'll see you in the next class, the next session of this chapter, where we will be studying about more concept of this chapter. Until then, this is me Rohit signing out. Until next time, goodbye.